All right. Happy Tuesday, ladies, gentlemen, and all that fall in between. We are super excited to have you here today on a Tuesday in November. I know that it still doesn't quite feel like November with it being 80 degrees outside, but if you're not quite prepared for it, we are definitely going to have a cold front coming in, so make sure that you are prepared for that over the next couple of days. It is so good to see everyone. Just a reminder, I am Michelle, and I am the program coordinator for the Longhorn Link program. And alongside me today is my partner in crime. I will let her introduce herself.
Hey y'all, my name is Alicia, and I'm helping out Michelle with the first scholarships presentation. I'm the advisor for the first year students to the Longhorn.
All right, so Alicia, I'm very sorry that that was recorded, but you 100% sound like a robot right now. So we're having all kinds of fun technical glitches. Yes, thank you, Edward. I like that. I said robot and Edward.
You know, that's happened to me, I don't know how many times this week and last Friday. So it just keeps coming, you know, you got to embrace it.
Yeah, it would not be 2020 if there were not all kinds of glitches and fails. I'm just glad that my last text that I shared earlier, because I thought I was copying the link, was workshop appropriate. It happens to everybody. So sorry about our very awkward beginning to our workshop today. We hope everybody is doing well. We know that registration is going on for classes, and so some of you might be sticking around afterwards with a couple of questions for that. But today we're going to go ahead and get y'all started with a lot of information on scholarships and financial aid. Just because you've been staying at home or having less things to spend your finances on the semester doesn't mean that for the upcoming semester and year that you don't need extra funding to help make it through. So everything that we talk about today, rather than you having to take extensive notes, if you will just sign in on our sign-in link, and I will post that again in the chat. If you will sign in, I will send this directly to you so that you can just pay attention and you can have direct ability to click on links that are in the PowerPoint presentation. So if there aren't any questions, we're going to go ahead and get set up, but feel free to ask any questions that you might have in the chat. All right, so starting off, let me go ahead and make this full screen and get it shared up again. All right. So more money, more scholarships. Hopefully by the end of today, you'll have a lot of resources able to get on the scholarship hunt. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get started.
Great. Do I sound like a robot?
No.
Yes.
Or crunchy.
Yeah, so we just kind of wanted to start off by talking about why it's important to consider what kind of identities you have or what kind of groups you belong with when it comes to kind of narrowing down the competition. So that's something we're going to be talking about today. So other than being a college student or being a continuing college student, what are other groups that you belong with? So Edward, what are some identities that you have besides being a college student?
I guess I would be a first generation college student. I'm a Mexican. What else? I'm a freshman. I don't know. That's it. That's all I can think about right now.
No, that's great. Yeah, you're not just a college student, you're first gen and you're Latino or Mexican, however you identify. So those are really great ways to kind of narrow down what kind of scholarships you're going to be looking for. Tisa, what about you?
I'm sorry, it's kind of cutting off. Can you say that again?
Yeah, what kind of identities do you hold other than being a college student?
Okay, I'm sorry, my internet's. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I guess first gen Indian American, I guess middle class, female. I don't know, there's like a lot of identities. I don't try to, I don't know. I feel like sometimes it's hard to like identify myself like with just one or a certain group because I feel like that could put me at a disadvantage like from other opportunities that I could be missing out from. Does that make sense? Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think those are like the main ones I could think of.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, for me, like, I'm not just a first gen college student, right? Like, I'm a first gen Latina college student, right? So that kind of opens up very specific scholarships that I can look for. So the reason we're telling you to kind of think about these things is because it'll aid you as you're searching for scholarships, right? That way you're not on Google just searching college scholarships. You're kind of narrowing that down a bit. So this is why we're kind of talking about narrowing down the competition a little bit. But not just with identity, it's also with the spaces that you belong to. So like for instance, we say narrow it down by major or college, right? So maybe you're not just looking for a scholarship for a college student, but you're looking for an engineering scholarship, or you're looking for a scholarship for someone who's in liberal arts. Maybe you're looking at scholarships that are offered by UT Austin specifically. Maybe you're a part of a military family, or you have a disability, or you're the child of someone with a disability. These are all things that you can kind of consider. Even you just being, maybe you're from Texas, right? So maybe there is a Texas scholarship. Maybe you're from the Dallas, Houston, San Antonio Valley area. You can look by region. So these are all things that we should definitely be considering as we're doing our searching. The other thing we need to consider is different types of scholarships. So there's internal versus external. An internal scholarship is something you're going to get specifically from the institution, and you can't take that money anywhere else. And then an external scholarship is something that's not affiliated with the university. So that's going to be, I think the example we give is the Hispanic Scholarship Fund, or that scholarship that everybody applies to, the Coca-Cola scholarship. So those are going to be ones that are not tied to the institutions. There's kind of two routes that you can go. The other thing we wanted to talk about is self-selecting. This is very, very common. This is when you kind of self-opt yourself out from applying to begin with by saying that the award is too big, it's too competitive, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, XYZ. You can also self-select by saying, oh, that award is too small. Like, nah, $200, that's not worth my time. So there are a lot of reasons why students do this. I think it's one of the biggest pitfalls, especially for students who may be first gen as well. They may have more doubts in applying for scholarships. But I do want to point out, because that's so prevalent, that often leads scholarship award committees to kind of have empty slots that they need to fill. So oftentimes you'll see a scholarship committee, they'll have like 5 different awards to offer, but maybe only 3 students apply. So then those 3 students automatically get it, and then they need to go either look for more applicants, or they're just going to hold on to the money. So definitely always apply, apply, apply.
Yeah. For me, whenever I was y'all's age, I did not want to pigeonhole myself into one identity, or it was an identity that I may have had difficulty embracing because I had shame over it. Like there were certain scholarships that were available for health conditions that I have. I was like, I don't want to get a scholarship for that. And then I realized I missed out on like several $10,000 and $20,000 scholarships because I wasn't willing to search for scholarships for people with those health conditions. So the more places that you're willing to look, and actually the opposite of what Tisa said, the more you are willing to focus on individual identities, the more scholarships that are available for you to apply to. Now we're going to talk about different things that you want to consider whenever you are applying, and then we're going to give you some great resources for where to apply. But starting with the importance of requirements. Oops. Okay, the biggest reasons why students get disqualified from scholarships is they apply to ones that they do not meet the criteria for. So before you waste your time preparing everything that you need for a scholarship, make sure that you look at the requirements for it and make sure that you meet it. There are several ways that you can be evaluated to meet a scholarship. There's academics, so you get a certain grade or a certain GPA, and that makes you eligible to get that scholarship. It might be through involvement, so certain volunteering organizations that you're a part of, leadership opportunities, organizations. It could be an essay or a project submission. So something you become eligible because you do a certain amount of work that makes you eligible for that scholarship. And sometimes recommendation letters from teachers, employers, advisors can help you with that. I just got contacted from a student today asking for a recommendation letter for a scholarship. And they made sure to tell me that without it, they would not be eligible for the scholarship. You also want to look at scholarship amounts whenever you're applying for your scholarships. A lot of students think that the only ones that are important are the really high dollar scholarships, but actually the scholarships that are often left with not very many applicants are the smaller scholarships, the $100, the $500. A lot of students think that those aren't worth their time, so they don't apply to them. And so we definitely encourage you to apply to small scholarships. They can definitely add up over time. You may only receive one scholarship out of every dozen you apply for. So the more that you apply for, the better. Just apply to as many as you can. It's also encouraged that you look for a scholarship that you have to complete a task for, such as an essay or something that you have to create. A lot of students will avoid writing essays or completing projects for scholarships. So again, that narrows down the applicant pool and gives you a much higher likelihood of being chosen amongst everyone. Yet most students do not want to write an essay. Essay recycling is huge. A lot of students don't realize that many scholarships have very similar essays that they ask for students to write. So we encourage you to do something called essay recycling. If you're organized, if you have a folder and you put everything inside of that folder, so your personal statement, previous essays, let's see, your updated resume and all of your recommendation letters, and you keep those together, it's going to be really easy for you to copy and paste information or to upload files directly into each scholarship application that you have. So the more that you keep all of this together, the more that you can recycle things that you already have. Save your old essays. Because you'll be surprised at how often you can reuse them. When I was in undergrad, I was able to recycle several essays that I wrote in high school because I had digital copies of them. And you can do that for scholarship applications as well. If you're writing an essay for an application, we've got several suggestions for you. You always want to make sure that you answer the question fully. A lot of students will only answer part of the question, so make sure that you have somebody look over your essay and make sure that you have answered the question completely. Make sure that you proofread and revise. The easiest way to get your application thrown out is to have typos. So use the University Writing Center. Make sure that you reach out to mentors and people who you trust who can look over this information for you. Use an outline to organize your thoughts to make sure that you are not being repetitive in what you say and that you actually have a good structure to your essay. Give specific examples of why you need the scholarship. A lot of students feel shame and don't want to share their personal financial hardships, but in a scholarship, that's a great place to actually talk about how you could personally benefit and how your family could benefit from you being chosen. The more personal your essay is and the more passionate you are, the better your application will be. Make sure that you write of something of interest to you and talk about your impact to other people or on other people in the course of your essay. It's not just about looking at you as an individual and how you would benefit, but how would society benefit by you being chosen for this opportunity. So these are all of our suggestions when it comes to writing essays and choosing scholarships to apply for. And again, feel free to add questions if you have any in the chat, and we'll get to those in between each slide.
Great, thank you, Michelle. The other piece to typically applying for a scholarship is also the recommendation. And this part, I think, as somebody who's consistently asked to write recommendation letters for students, I definitely constantly see a student where they'll say, can you write me this recommendation letter? It's due on this day, and that's it. The best thing you can do is to give their recommender context. Let them know what the scholarship is, let them know what it's for, let them know, send them ahead of time your CV or your resume. Send them your personal statement if you already wrote it for the scholarship application. Send them, whatever documents you're being required to send, especially if you're asking a recommender who maybe you took just one class with on one random semester and they haven't seen you in a minute, or maybe somebody that hasn't really kept up with everything you're doing. You need to provide all that information. That way they can write you a well-informed letter. You want your recommender to say things that's not already being said in your statement as well as in your resume. When you're talking to people to be potential recommenders, I typically require my students to have a meeting with me so we can talk all of these things out. But keep in mind that typically sometimes professors or faculty won't ask that of you. And some faculty members might just straight up ask you to write it yourself, and then they'll edit it and get it done for you. But I think it is important to ask if they can't just get a recommendation letter done, see if they can craft you a great recommendation letter that's going to make you stand out. And that it should be relevant to the sponsor's goals, which is why I'm saying to let your recommender know what that foundation is for, what is that scholarship for, so that way they can be well informed. I had a student recently ask me to write them a recommendation letter for the Soros Foundation, which is a graduate student fellowship for new Americans. If I hadn't known all of that, I probably wouldn't have crafted that letter the way that I did, right? So I kept that in mind. I had to keep all that information in mind and what that sponsor was looking for. Yeah, and always thank the recommender for sure for writing you a letter. They're definitely taking their time to help you. Was that Bailey?
Sorry, my dog has something to say.
Oh no, it's fine. My dogs are losing it. So I apologize to y'all. Most common application mistakes, one, missing the deadline. Failing to proofread an application, like having simple mistakes, not following directions when you're completing different aspects of the application, omitting certain information, applying for an award when you maybe don't meet those qualifications, failing to apply for something that you did qualify for, but maybe you self-opted out. Also failing to tailor the application to the sponsor. So maybe when we gave you that advice of recycle essays, maybe you didn't tweak it, right, to match what that sponsor is looking for. And obviously you want something that's kind of eye-catching, right, when you're talking about writing the actual application essay. We did just kind of want to put this plug because it happens, you know, sometimes students will pay for a scholarship service or pay to access a scholarship account. You never want to do that. Scholarships are free money. So we did just kind of want to put this plug in to kind of be aware of that. Yeah, never invest more than a postage stamp. And nobody can guarantee that you're going to win, especially if it's a random drawing. And yes, you don't want to give out personal information like your social security number and all of that. And then when talking about where you actually search for scholarships, so we actually have some things listed on here that people don't commonly think of. People typically just kind of hit up Google and, you know, go to different websites through the institution and all of that. But also consider employers. So like, do you work for a specific chain? Do your parents or somebody that you know? Sometimes employers, especially for your parents, they might have scholarships. Like if, I don't know, a parent works for an insurance company, if you are the son or daughter of that parent, they might have opportunities for you. Local banks also have scholarship opportunities, so check that out. If you're a part of a church, they might have some opportunities, different community organizations, either where you reside or in the Austin area. Looking at volunteer organizations, obviously the Financial Aid and Scholarships Office, and also online searching.
All right, so Bailey has been barking the entire time, so I apologize in advance since it's my turn if that continues, but she's just jealous. She wants to spend time with y'all. Okay, LCAE scholarship opportunities. Being a Gateway or a Longhorn Link student makes you eligible for certain scholarships that other students are not eligible for. So these are great ones to apply for. We have the G-Chin Study Abroad Scholarship. So if you were interested in studying abroad, we only had 5 students apply to this last year, and that made the selection pool very, very, very small. So definitely look out for this one. The Todd and Tracy Hammond Scholarship, which is for Gateway students only. The Denson First Generation Scholarship. So I know several of you mentioned being a first generation student, and so you would be eligible for one of these scholarships. And the LLP Trio Achiever Scholarship for specifically LLP students. And we also have other scholarships that come in certain years that are not available every single year. So definitely whenever we start sending out information about the LCAE scholarships, those are a very, very small applicant pool. We have over 1,600 students this year that could have applied, and we only had 250 students apply for these scholarships this year. So definitely something to look into. And these are released in the spring of 2021. If you are a UT continuing student, which all of you will be as long as you stay enrolled in the university, those applications for continuing student scholarships are available now all the way through March 15th. So if you click on this website, which again, we'll send you this at the end of this presentation, so you don't need to write it down, but anyone that is a continuing student is eligible for these. So all of you freshmen that came in, you were not eligible this year for any of these continuing scholarships, but you will be for the upcoming school year. So you definitely want to apply for these because a lot of scholarships are opened up throughout this common application. And a lot of scholarships are tied to just one application. So it's really worth your time to complete this one as well. Some other great places to search for scholarships. We're going to talk about all these and give each of them their own slide so that you can see what they look like and see why they might be important for you to look at. But these are very highly trusted sites between Alicia and I, and through UT and the financial aid services that we have with One Stop. So these are all really reputable places for you to search. The most important are the top two. There are tons of scholarships within your academic school, college department, Texas One Stop, and then we're going to introduce you to Texas only scholarships, a scholarship database called AIE, Peterson Scholarship Index, and then the bottom two you are probably very familiar with, finaid.org and the College Board scholarships. All of the links on this slide do work. And their descriptions will be on the next slides. Departmental websites. I know a lot of students in our program are liberal arts students. So I went to the liberal arts webpage and I was able to find a scholarships and awards section. Every single department or college has this at UT. And so you can go and find the person who is in charge of scholarships and how to contact them directly. And then they have all of their scholarships listed out, what semesters they're offered for, the open dates, the deadlines, when the awards are sent out, and links for how to apply. This is probably going to be the smallest window of scholarships that are open to you because you're only applying against students in your college, not the university as a whole. So you have the LCAE ones, which are great because it's only 1,600 students. Then you have the UT Continuing Student Scholarship, which is everybody in the university. But your college and your department is going to be usually a really, really small, limited number of students who are applying with you. So definitely look on your college department's website.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. So one of the first ones we kind of wanted to open up is the One Stop database. So the Texas One Stop is kind of a new unit, but they definitely have an interesting scholarship finder function on their site where you can look up by your year in school and your residency. They also have a keyword search. So this is an interesting way to kind of look up scholarships. I think Michelle was able to find the comptroller website as well. So these are listed kind of in alphabetical order. I think the Minnie Stevens Piper is one of the scholarship foundations that's listed on there. So that's also a good resource. And these are Texas specific.
And they also have a list of federal ones as well as you go further down the page.
Cool. This is AIE. So this one also has a scholarship search function in which you can look up by keyword as well. You'll notice here in the description, it says that it can be related to your career, major, ethnicity, gender, state, skills, or even where you work. So this is good resources as well. Peterson's is another index that you can look for. You can look up based on what year you are. Notice here in the example, we just put a keyword for journalism, and then you can kind of filter through. And just by me typing journalism, there's like 80 results. So there's different keywords that you can kind of plug in and make sure you put that you're an undergraduate student at a four-year college.
A lot of people don't know that these search engines exist specifically for scholarships. So yes, Google is great, but a lot of scholarships on Google are ones that are no longer active. They might be a little bit harder to determine whether it is a scholarship worth your time applying to or not. And all of these databases, rather than filtering through Google page after Google page, it definitely helps direct you to actual scholarships that exist. So for a lot of students, this is a better use of their time. Some of you may have used these two very popular ones when you came into the university. finaid.org. Their scholarships are listed by a lot of different search criteria on their website: grants for women, applying for scholarships, scholarships for women. But this one is a little bit, this one is a little bit less specific than some of the ones that we've shown you so far. So it's why it's a little bit further down at the bottom, just because you have to do a little bit more work in order to search and find something that specifically applies to you. College Board is the one that most freshman students are directed to whenever they fill out the FAFSA for the first time and fill out their college applications. While the College Board scholarship search is huge, and you can definitely spend all of your time just on this site, their search criteria is not quite as specific as some of the other websites that we are showing you today. So I would definitely suggest starting at some of the earlier ones on this presentation, looking at those and seeing what's available, and then working your way back to some of these more common ones and comparing kind of what you've done before. But all of these search engines that we've placed on here are also on the One Stop website. So we kind of put everything in one place and then added a bunch more than just what they had available for you. There are a couple of other scholarships that pop up specifically for UT that you want to keep an eye out for that are less well known. The Texas Excess Scholarship for spring 2021. Current UT students and transfer students, applications open January 1st. The deadline is March 1st. This is not to be at all confused with the continuing student scholarship for UT as a whole. These are two separate applications, even though they are both due in March. So make sure that you hit up both of these. It's for students currently attending UT Austin or intending to transfer for the following year. So if you have any students who are friends from high school that you know are planning to transfer to UT next fall, these are open to them as well. Current UT students and transfer students are not eligible for the 40-acre scholarship program. That is for freshmen who are incoming only. But outside of that, you are eligible for every single other scholarship with the Texas Excess. While there is one big overall application, there are also a couple of scholarships that have their own application. So just read through their website to see which ones you want to devote your time to. But definitely the one that's due on March 1st hits the most scholarship options for you. And those are only for UT students. The Office of the Dean of Students also offers up scholarships each year. Right now, they have not announced what those are for spring 2021 applications, but 3 that are offered every year in previous school years: the Glenn Maloney Memorial Scholarship, the Sean, I'm going to butcher this, Bourgeois, somebody good with those names, sorry about that, and the Tejas scholarships. Those are consistently offered each year. And a lot of students don't know that these are in availability. Again, it is only for UT Austin students. So we definitely suggest that you hit that up. Let's see, somebody hit up in the chat. Let's see. Oh, Dr. Lewis, thank you. She said these resources are general and not specific to UT. Okay, the Texas Comptroller and the Department of Labor. So let's see, I'll try to copy those and add them into the presentation so that y'all have a copy of them. Let me just throw that down somewhere real fast.
Yeah, Michelle, we have a slide on the Texas Comptroller already here,
Yes.
but I don't think we have it for the Department of Labor.
Yeah, we do not. So I'll get that added in and sent out to y'all.
Okay, so the other piece of scholarships we wanted to talk about, we know scholarship applications are, study abroad applications are coming up, and some of you might be considering, oh, you're good, Tiffany. Some of you may be considering studying abroad, but typically money is definitely one of the biggest barriers when it comes to students actually going through with it. So we did want to point out some helpful resources for you all if you're considering studying abroad. And even if it's not soon, at least you'll kind of know about this for the future. So the first thing we wanted to talk to you about is Texas Global. So these, it also has a scholarship engine built within the website for Texas Global. So you can definitely look up these scholarship options that are available for you. There's also Global Assist, which is connected to UT Direct. So it is affiliated with the university. You'll kind of see that some of these are scholarships are directly correlated to a specific school with the university. So you can just kind of click on those various links and see what the requirements are, even though this is an outdated screenshot.
Yes, I was going to say it's an outdated screenshot, but I double checked and everything is still working for 2020, 2021.
Yeah, I'm on the site right now. Yeah, everything's set for spring 21 for sure. Cool. This is High USA. I think it stands for Hosteling International USA. So this is some travel scholarships that you can look at also. I think they require you to be in a certain age range, 18 to 30 years old, US citizen, demonstrate financial need. So yeah, I think they can award you up to $2,000 for a travel stipend. So that's pretty cool. And then the next one, I think both of these slides cover diversity abroad scholarships, which is another helpful resource that again has a search engine. You can look by country, subject, terms, all of that. And I think this is also the diversity abroad website. And then I think this is the last one, probably. This is goabroad.com. So this is another helpful website. It's not a search engine, it's a list, but hopefully that'll be helpful for you.
Yeah, don't be freaked out by the 2017 because I went through and clicked on each individual scholarship that they cover and everything is updated. So you'll be good to go. Well, let's see. So that is, yeah, so the Gilman Award. So there's going to be a second one, Dr. Lewis. I thought that one just closed. Okay, so there will be another opportunity to apply for the Gilman. I thought that it was just once only, so I took that slide out because that deadline just passed. But the Gilman Award is another opportunity to study abroad. So whenever that comes out in the spring, we will send that to you so that you have an opportunity to apply for that one. Again, that is a large study abroad scholarship guaranteed to only our students. So just keep that title in your brain and I'll go through and add the Gilman Award slide back up there. I didn't realize there was a spring one. I'm sorry.
I just put it back. So I think if you exit out of full screen and then go back, the slide should be available now.
Perfect.
If you're on Google Slides.
There
Yes.
You go.
Ignore the date.
Yeah, that one was just due,
My
but
bad.
it will be opening up again.
Okay.
All right. So that is all of the information that we feel like is the most useful to you as you are working to try and navigate your scholarship search experience. So we wanted to give you all a little bit of time to ask questions, but while people are taking some time to do that, just remember to all of you who signed in, I will be making sure that you are able to get a copy of this so that all the hyperlinks work for you. And I'm going to put this sign in back in the chat in case you joined us a little bit late. But yeah, let us know what kind of questions you have. It can be about scholarships, or if you had questions about your FAFSA. I know some of you hadn't submitted that, so you might have questions about that as well. But we might direct you to another FAFSA workshop that we have coming up this week if you have questions about that.
Do you want to pause the recording?
Yes, thank you.